Those of you who are following the news yesterday, there were some good news and some bad news. The good news, Pakistan won the cricket championship. So Alhamdulillah, Pakistan Zindabad. We're happy for them. Hard luck to India. Later, last night, those who were leaving the masjid in one particular masjid in London, they were targeted by a terrorist from the UK. And those who were injured, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them shifa. And those who died, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept them as shaheed and to protect the Muslim ummah, inshallah. Take this one. So tonight we'll talk inshallah about a new attribute, sifa min sifatillahi ta'ala, which is al-maghfirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has different levels of maghfirah in the Quran, forgiveness. Because we as human beings, we have different levels of sins. So for example, if you are zalim, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghaffar. If you are zaloom, which is a higher level, you make more sins. If you are zaloom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur. But if you are zallam, which is the highest level, zallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghaffar. So all these levels correspond to the different levels of sins that we commit. So the doors of forgiveness are always open, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran. No matter how big your sin is, it is never bigger than the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can always come back and ask for forgiveness. As long as you're not dying, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your sins. Okay, now what is the problem? The problem is, as you say in Urdu, so they say shaitan teaz akal mand hai, wa fi riwaya shaitan bahut akal mand hai. Shaitan is very smart, right? So shaitan will make excuses for you in order for you not to make tawbah and come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One thing we need to keep in mind, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you, He will make it easy for you to come back to Him. Because He loves you, He doesn't want to punish you. Even if you are a bad person, but He loves you, He sees goodness and sincerity in your heart. But because of the circumstances and the conditions around you, you didn't find the right hidayah, the right guidance, so you didn't know the way. But if Allah knows sincerity in you, He will guide you. What is the proof in the Quran? ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُ. Tawbah comes from Allah first. He will turn to you in mercy and you will turn to Him in repentance. But the first step comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if He sees forgiveness in you. Shaitan will play some tricks on you. So he will say, for example, you're still young, you know, you're only 17, and your father was 85 when he died. So there's no guarantee if your father was 85 or 90 that you will live, you know, to be 85 or 90 to die. Because I have seen people like 12 years old die, 18 years old die, 35, 80, I've seen someone who was 115 years old die, and a 2-year-old died. So, death does not have a certain age. When your time comes, you go. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. So this is a trick that shaitan will play on you. If you are 35, he will tell you, oh, you're still young. 60, you're still young. 90, you're still young. This is what shaitan will tell you. You're always young. You're always young. This is the trick that shaitan will always play with you. And you always keep in your mind, you know, I'm young, inshallah, before I die, like 5 minutes before I die, I'm going to go to Mecca for Hajj, I make tawbah, read Quran, become Hafiz al-Quran. You never know which time you will go, right? It is not known to us, it is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. The second trick, shaitan will tell you, your sins, no matter how big they are, they're nothing, man. And he will tell you, look at other people. All people are chor, thieves, tug, hearses, lists. You are a good person. You know, if you pray only Jummah, you don't pray at all, you just pray Jummah, you don't pray the 5 daily namaz, shaitan will tell you, oh, I know some people who don't pray at all, not even Jummah. If you pray Eid only, there are some people who don't pray Eid. So shaitan will give you the impression that you are better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't work with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this. Like 5 people will go, and the best one of them, even if he or she is terrible, will go to Jannah, and the rest will go to Jahannam. This percentile system works for the USMLE, it works for the, you know, some other ranking systems in dunya, in educational systems, but it doesn't work with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this way. Everyone is accountable only for themselves. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. The third trick that shaitan will do on you is he will tell you, you have been sinning all your life. You have been dating, drinking, doing drugs, all these terrible things, all the worst sins in the books you have been doing. There's no hope for you. Allah will not forgive you. So this is another trick that shaitan will play on you. So tell shaitan, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Zumar, O my servants who have exceeded the limits against their souls. They have done every terrible thing in the book, every haram thing they committed. Allah tells them, don't lose hope in my mercy. I forgive all sins. As long as you make tawbah before you die, I will forgive you. So inshallah, I'm going to conclude with this story, and we'll continue talking about the maghfiratullah tomorrow. It is never late to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask for His forgiveness. This is a true story that happened in the 1960s in Tunisia. Sheikh Abdel Fattah Moro. Some of you, those of you who are from Tunisia, Hizb al-Nahda, they know Sheikh Abdel Fattah. He's very popular, he is da'i in Tunisia. So what happened, back in the 1960s, he was in the Tablighi Jama'ah in Tunisia. So what he do, he would go to the market, he was very young, he would go to the market, and the market was full, and he would start asking Muslims to come to the masjid for salah. Salatul Asr, Salatul Maghrib. He would talk to them about Iman and Yaqeen, Tawheed, all these things. And because back then, Tunisia was a secular country, right? So no one would go with him to the masjid. He would talk to 100 people, no one would be willing to go with him to the masjid for salah. What are you talking about? You know, we're not going to the masjid, and so on and so forth. He would talk to them about tawbah. What are you talking about? Why are you still young? All these things. We are busy, we have things to do, we have appointments to make, and so on and so forth. He said, one day, I made da'wah to about 100 youth in the market, one by one. Would you please come with me to the masjid, we will pray, and we have, you know, bayan about Iman and Yaqeen. Would you like to listen? They say, I don't have time for you. Get out. So eventually, one person was willing to go with him. After several days, after talking to hundreds of people, only one person was willing to go with him. So he said, we walked to the masjid, and the muaddin was making iqamah for Maghrib. So we got inside, and when this youth, he was about 20, 25, stood in the line, people gave him the dirty look because his smell was like, it is a different smell. So everyone in the masjid realized that this youth, this guy who came from the market, was drunk. And the smell was coming out. And Sheikh Abdel Fattah said, I didn't know because I didn't drink. I didn't know that that was alcohol. And the guy was like, this, I didn't know. So the people started to yell at the man, get out of here. You're not allowed to pray in this condition. And the imam said, brother, would you please go home, take a shower, you know, make wudu when you're sober, come back tomorrow, inshallah, for salah. And the man started to scream and say, no, I want to make tawbah today, I want to make salah today. They said, get out. No, I want to make salah, I want to make tawbah. They said, okay then. We're standing in the front, like 3-4 lines. You stand all the way to the back. Because if you stand next to me and you smell like alcohol, this is not the best focus for me. This is just like when I stand next to someone who smokes and I feel dizzy or I pass out. So they told them, stand back, go all the way to the back. So they started the salah, and after they finished, everyone was praying their sunnah and talking to each other, and they realized that this brother was still in sajda. So Sheikh Abdel Fattah, true story, in the 1960s, he said, I went to the guy like 10-15 minutes after we finished, and he said, c'est fini, like, we finished, in French, right? Let's go. And the guy didn't raise his head. So eventually he found out that the guy actually died in salah. So, and this was probably his first time and last time to make sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, I wanted to make tawbah, I wanted to make salah, and it was his last salah, and he made tawbah before he died. So hopefully that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted him and gave him Jannah. So never give up on anyone, no matter how terrible they are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can open their hearts. وَهُوَ عَلَى ذَلِكَ قَدِيرٌ. We'll continue tomorrow inshallah. So the question for last night, the last question was Ayah 162 in Surah Nisa. لكن الراسخون في العلم منهم والمؤمنون. Every word in this surah is marfu' wa nun, except for one word, which is al-muqimin as-salah. And those who attack the Quran, they say this is a clear mistake. Everything is marfu' wa nun, mu'minuna, mu'tuna, and so on and so forth. Everything is una, except wal-muqimin as-sala'ina. It's mansub, so it's a clear mistake. Well, if you look at the ayah closely, this word which is mansub, which is different, there is a stop sign before and a stop sign after. So it is a totally different sentence. We have this style in Arabic, and the people of Mecca never attack the Quran because of something like this, because this is one of the highest forms of balagha in the Arabic language. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala singled out the people who pray to honor them out of all the people who are mentioned in the ayah. So in other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those who give zakah, those who believe, those who do this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and I honor above everyone those who observe salah. So it's a special honor. So in the Arabic language, we have, if a word is mansub and everything else is marfu', we call it mansub ala al-madh or mansub ala al-dhamm. So for example, سَيَصْلَى نَارًا ذَاتَ لَهَبٍ وَامْرَأَتُهُ. امرأته مرفوع in تبت يدا. حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ. It should be حَمَّالَةُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is humiliating the person, so it's mansub in this case. And the opposite is in Surah Nisa, ayah 162. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I honor those who pray more than anyone else mentioned in the ayah. And we made sure we clarified this in the Clear Quran translation. We put the comments and we put especially those who pray. So it's a different category. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors them. This is not a mistake. And the winner is brother Nuruddin Uthman Sharif from Jazair. أحسنت. الجزائر صح؟ أحسنت. بارك الله فيك. بارك الله فيك. الله يجزاك خير. أحسنت. أحسنت. And one last thing, a lot of people send the answers, so don't get disappointed because I have to select one person every day. So keep trying, inshallah. The question for tonight, we know that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if I choose someone to be a prophet, I give them wahi. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ. So prophets receive wahi in the Quran. How come that the mother of Musa received wahi? وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ. Is she a prophet? Of course, she's not a prophet, but why did Allah give her wahi? If you know the answer, email me before tomorrow Asr at Imam Mustafa at Anatolia Center.ca. Jazakallah.